Hello and welcome. This is tips on how to become a manifesting machine. This is my favorite subject to talk about because I have used neuroscience and quantum physics to teach myself how to be a manifesting machine, and I love just sharing these tips with other people too. So we'll dive right in. The purpose of this presentation is to help you learn the secrets and the science behind manifestation. Because there's a lot of I mean, there are people that incorporate, like, if you're new age spiritual, manifestation is a part of your like spirituality or your religion or whatever. And I've heard a lot from different religions that there's actually quite a bit of manifestation worked into religion. That being said, it is a scientific thing. It is, a lot of people categorize it as woo woo, and they're like, well, wouldn't it be neat if it worked? And we're going to talk about the science, what make that proves that manifestation is a very real scientific phenomenon. And when you understand the secrets and the science, you can start using it as a tool to create whatever you want in the world. We're going to debunk the biggest myth around manifesting, the place where the book and the movie The Secret absolutely did the world of manifestation and people's understanding of manifestation huge disservice. I'll hint, they only told you half of the story of what you need to do, and they didn't even tell you the important half. So anyways, we're going to debunk the biggest myths around manifesting. There's really just one, and you're going to learn how to start manifesting. I'm going to step you through the 4 major challenges that we face around manifestation, so you can kind of understand if you've ever you're obviously here because you're either interested in learning about how to manifest, so we'll get you set up right with the tips. Like, there's literally a slide at the end that says how to start manifesting. Here's the 6 or 5 or whatever, however many steps. Here's the steps. So if you're just getting started or you're curious about manifesting, we will get you those steps and tools to get started on the right. But I find most people that are interested in manifesting have played around with it and tested it out, and then found, if you're like anything like me, I started off with, this doesn't work, it's bullshit. And so anyways, I just didn't understand how to work with it and how to use it as an effective tool. I was stuck in we're going to talk about the 4 major potholes that we fall into, the challenges that we face, and I was stuck in a pothole. And I've already gotten some hints that there are some people here that might be interested, that might be stuck in some of these potholes too. So I'm going to teach you about what is the pothole, and then how do you get out of it, so you can become a manifesting machine. So a little bit about me, if you don't know me very well. My name is Kitty Coy. I have a neuroscience degree. Specifically, my degree is integrative physiology. I have a bachelor's in integrative physiology, the study of the body, I have a bachelor's in psychology, study of the mind, and I have a minor, an actual degree in neuroscience. Obviously study of the brain. And I did that because the brain, the body, and the mind are so fascinating. Things like the placebo effect, how we can talk each other in and out of, or we can talk ourselves in and out of getting sick. Like, all of these things are so cool to me. That's what inspired me to get into neuroscience. And I really feel like neuroscience is the cutting edge field of where science meets spirituality these days, because a lot of the research that they're coming up with right now is proving things that like yogis have been saying for centuries, and things like that. So I absolutely love neuroscience. I worked for 10 years as a behavioral neuroscience researcher. I was a behavioral neurophysiologist, meaning I studied how the structure of your brain affects your behavior, and how your behavior actually affects and changes the structure of your brain. So that's what I did for 10 years. And as much as I love and I'm passionate about neuroscience, I knew being a traditional researcher wasn't my long-term career path. So I initially pivoted and had no idea what I was doing, kind of fumbled my way through different types of coaching and I got into coaching because I'm so passionate about people. I love people, and helping people is why I live and breathe every single day. It just lights me up. And because of my neuroscience degree, I have access to all sorts of fun tools that normal people don't have access to, that are neuroscience based. And I found my way to magnetic mind coaching. So magnetic mind coaching is the process of getting so crystal clear in what you want, releasing all of the resistance, that the limiting beliefs, the trauma, whatever that's holding you back from having it. That could look like fear, self-doubt, procrastination, unworthiness. It could look like freak accidents and family emergencies and schedule changes and all these crazy things that come up when you're like, yes, I want to create that. Anything that comes up that prevents you from getting that is just resistance. So I use neuroscience-based tools to release resistance, to support people in taking action in their dreams, making significant headway to whatever it is they want to create. And by the way, hint, if you don't know what you want to create, could and you maybe you just haven't thought about it, but I oftentimes find people that it can be confusion. Confusion is one of the biggest ways that resistance shows up for me. It's like, well, but I love all flavors of ice cream. I don't know which one I want. That's confusion, and that's a way resistance shows up for me. So we're not going to get too much into the specifics of that, but that's what I love to do, is just help people get crystal clear, release the resistance, and then take action. And in that way, I help people become manifesting machines. I do private coaching. I actually have a membership where I teach people how to be manifesting machines. I am certified in meditation, mindset, NLP, you name it. I'm certified in a super conscious recoding process, which is the magnetic mind coaching. And I myself have become a manifesting machine. And it wasn't always this way. And in fact, interesting enough, I used to be a negative manifester, and I would always manifest bad things in my life, but never manifest good things. And so I would always be afraid of, well, what's the worst that could happen? And then the worst thing happened time and time again. It took me a long time to realize Murphy's Law isn't a thing. It's our expectation of that is manifesting. It's our energetic field that's manifesting. So every time you say Murphy's Law, that's actually, you're just talking about the energetic principles of the universe, and you just didn't realize it yet. But I have learned the neuroscience and the quantum physics to become a manifesting machine. And in the last, I don't know, because time's getting kind of wonky, in the last 3-ish years, I've manifested 9 of my lifetime bucket list achievements, including I manifested this incredible trip to Greece that I just got back from. And then I manifested like a crazy person in Greece. We had this hotel room. We were in this city. It was really expensive. So we went for like a budget version hotel. We go up to the hotel, we check in. Turns out the person that rented our room that morning somehow shattered the glass door, and our hotel was going to have to put us up in a different hotel because they were booked. And it just so happened to be a cliffside hotel with the most beautiful view that exists in the city and a private pool. And I manifested that. So anyways, I manifested this Greek trip, including opening my wellness center, publishing my book, becoming a best-selling author, all of these things. I've manifested these situations because I've hacked. It's a protocol. And as a scientist, I like protocols. I like stepwise procedures. So there are steps that you can take that will get you towards manifesting. And it is literally like a recipe. You just work the recipe. When you know the recipe, you can do whatever you want and manifest whatever it is that you desire. So just think about it for a minute. If anything is coming to you, if anything you want to manifest, just think about, what would you love more of in your life right now? And as we go through this presentation, just keep thinking about that. And if you don't know, and that's okay, you can always come back to the recording or think about it later. But we're going to teach you how to be a manifesting machine and how to get what you want, whatever that is. So let's start by getting on the same page. What the heck is manifesting? So manifesting is just focusing your thoughts on something you want, so you can bring it, like you can turn your thought into a thing. You can focus your thought in and bring it into reality. That's all manifesting really is. That's what we're calling manifesting. And I love this quote from Albert Einstein. Everything is energy, and that's all there is to it. He said this almost 100 years ago. Match the frequency of the reality you want to create, and you cannot help but create that reality. There is no other way. This is not philosophy. This is physics. And I trust Albert Einstein on he is an expert in quantum physics. I can trust him as an expert. And so if he's saying it's science, it's physics, I like to include this quote because so many people think it's, like I said, spirituality, or it's philosophy, or it's woo-woo. And like, yes, it feels magical because it's done with unseen forces, but it is literally based in quantum physics. So let's start talking about the science of manifesting. So everything is energy. Albert Einstein just said it. I trust him on the subject. And so if everything is energy, then each thought, belief, emotion, your attitude, each of them creates a specific energy. And we have something like 80,000 thoughts a day. We have tens of thousands of beliefs. And then there's something like 126 emotions. So each one of those is creating an energy. And when you add together all of your thoughts, all of your emotions, all of your beliefs that you have, they're all putting out an energy. That's what actually creates the energetic field around you. And this is the shape. This is what they've measured your field, and this is what it looks like. It's like a donut, like a cake donut that you're in the middle, and it connects. There's no real hole in the center, but it does go in. It's called a torus. That's the shape of the torus, and we know that this is real. We know it's shaped like this because heart math actually proved that they could measure your energetic field with heart math, which is why I said we live in this amazing day and age where neuroscience is being proven day in, day out, neuroscience is proving day in and day out these things that yogis and spiritual teachers have been teaching for a really long time. Your auric field is just your energy field. Your aura is your energy field, and heart math can now measure that. The average person has a 3 to 6 foot field around them, but you can have bigger energy. And if you'll get a kick out of this if you actually know me personally. I've got big energy. You might have, even if you don't know me, you might have picked up on that. I've got a big personality, big energy. It's not just metaphorical. I literally have a big energy field. My energetic field has been measured 16 feet outside of me, where the average is 3 to 6. So I have my field is 3 times as big. So anyways, that's just a fun fact. But yeah, it varies in the size of your energetic field. People who are overly energetic tend to have overly big fields. And so heart math proved it. And this is actually your superconscious field. So we'll talk about what the superconscious is now, but your energetic field is also called your superconscious. And we'll talk about what that is. This is from the lens of psychology. Yes, great question. Can you increase it or decrease it? Or is it a part of who you are? That is a fantastic question. Your energetic field is, generally speaking, it's like your personality. If you're a talker, you could over time be in situations where you learn to speak less and listen more, but you'll always be like a talkative or on the more talkative side. But there are things like if you're more introverted, you're likely to be more introverted. You might get a little bit more extroverted, but you usually stay about the same. That being said, there's all sorts of things that you can do to change it. So like, let's say, and this is the way you don't necessarily want to go, but let's say you have a trauma or something that happens to you, you can actually shrink your energetic field so that you feel more safe. And then conversely, you can have, if you do personal development, you do things, you can actually hold your field better. So like part of why I have such a big field, I'm naturally energetic and things, there are some personality traits that's like naturally the way I am, but I've also done a lot of work with my energy. So I've made my field strong enough that I can hold it at 16 feet, which is basically like saying I got a really big wingspan and I can hold it there. And so, yes, you can absolutely increase or decrease the size of your field depending on what you do, depending on your energetic hygiene and regular practices. But generally speaking, like I'm never going to go down to a 3 foot field ever. I was probably born with 10 feet or 8 feet or something, and then I got bigger. But that being said, you wouldn't go dramatically different, but you can absolutely change it. And that is a really great question no one's ever asked me. So thank you for that. So let's talk about your superconscious. This is coming from a psychology perspective. Even, 16 years ago when I graduated college in neuroscience, they talked about what the superconscious was before they really knew what it was, but I only heard about it like in one class one time and then never heard about it again. And I stayed in psychology for decades after that. So anyways, this is the levels of your consciousness. You've probably seen this iceberg analogy before, but I added in the superconscious here. So your conscious mind is your thoughts. This is the ice above the iceberg. And we all know in icebergs, it's like they say 5 to 10% of an iceberg is above the water, 90 to 95% of the iceberg is below the water. And that's the same way with your thoughts. You have access to only a fraction of what's going on in your brain and your conscious mind and your thoughts. Your subconscious involves so much But for like, it's your autonomic nervous system, like your heartbeat is subconscious, thank goodness, because otherwise, if you were thinking too hard, your heart would stop. But there's autonomic nervous system, your body language, your beliefs, your emotions, your instantaneous reactions, all of these things. They have subconscious memory, which is also like language is a subconscious memory. I don't have to think about the words and how to make the words in my mouth. That's all subconscious memory. And so anytime you're on autopilot and you walk in, like you drive somewhere and you're like, how did I get here? You're operating in your subconscious mind, which again is 90 to 95%, if not more, of what we are. But for the purposes of this presentation, we're going to think about our subconscious mind as our emotions and our beliefs. And even though we have 80,000 thoughts a day, they say something like 60 to 65,000 of those are repetitive, the same thought again and again and again. And so you really only have about 20,000 original thoughts a day, still a starking number, but we have so many beliefs and emotions that run us all of the time. And then our superconscious mind in this, so again, the subconscious, you can see in the pictures, but the subconscious is the iceberg below the water. And the superconscious mind is the water around the iceberg. And what that is it creates the results in our lives. The ice around the iceberg, it's around us, it's our energetic field. And it holds all of this information. And it is constantly taking instructions from our conscious mind and our subconscious mind. And then it just does whatever those are. And so let me give you an example of where when you're in alignment, we're going to talk about alignment a little bit later, but when you're in alignment, that means your conscious mind, your thoughts, and your subconscious mind, your beliefs and emotions are saying the same thing. It's like a fishing pole, and you just cast out and you reel in and you manifest whatever you want. A perfect example of this is raffles. I win like raffles and door prizes at this insanely high rate. 2/3 of the time I enter, I win. Doesn't matter. And there's been times where there was 10,000 people in the entry and there was like 15 winners, and I was one of those 15. I win raffles at this statistically impossible rate. You know why? One time I really wanted and I thought about it, and I must have believed I deserve it or something, and I got it. And so now I have a belief that I can do it. So I think I'm going to win. I believe I can because I have before. And then I come out, and unless somebody else's desire for it or somebody else's outcome is stronger, I just automatically win it. That is an example of the superconscious. When your conscious mind and your subconscious mind are giving the same instructions, the superconscious is the fishing pole. The energetic field goes out and seeks out that thing and brings it to you that matches your same level of frequency. So again, I literally teach classes and teach people for months and months and months at a time about understanding this. So this is just the very tip of the iceberg, pun intended, amount of information about your levels of consciousness. And now let's get into the quantum physics part. And there are hundreds of thousands of pages written of scientific papers written about these phenomenon. And I'm going to give you like a few sentence explanation. I'm telling you the name of the what you could look up if you really want to dig into the quantum physics. Prepare to have your mind bent a little bit because it gets really complicated really quick. But I'm going to explain to you at least the two big neuroscience either phenomenon or experiments that prove that manifesting is real and how. So manifesting comes from is proven by the double slit experiment. So they did this in 1927, so 97 years ago. And basically, long story short, is they had a machine that was shooting electrons at a gold sheet that had 2 slits in it. And then they were tracking what the pattern was on the back. And what they found is they initially started and let the electron machine go, and then went to lunch and came back, and it looked like this. This is not a zoomed in version. These are actual pictures that are taken from this phenomenon. So, and then they're like, cool, in science, you repeat things again and again. So they repeated it again, but they had already eaten lunch. So they sat there and watched it. And then they got this result. And they're like, wait, and this has been studied. They're still doing double slit experiments because it does not make any sense. And they're trying to understand where this comes from because they don't know if an electron is a wave or a particle, and getting way deep into the quantum physics of this. But the most important thing to note is the electrons acted differently when they were observed. If the scientists were watching the electrons, it had this particle pattern. If the electron, if no one was watching, they had this wave pattern. But here's the interesting thing. They set up, and this is why they've been studying it for 97 years. If you physically view it, you don't have to be in the room, but they set up a camera, and they had somebody watching in a camera in another room, and it did the observed effect. They had somebody, they set up a camera, they had nobody watching live, but they watched the recording later, and it came up as the not observed effect. Then they did a camera recording, and they had somebody look at it on the other side of the world and watch it live time happen, and it went like this. And then they had somebody watch the recording, and it went like this. So all that is to say, electrons act differently when they're observed. That's crazy. That means your consciousness affects matter. It changes the outcome when you are consciously focused on something. And they've done this. They've had animals observe it. They've had computers observe it. And it requires a human consciousness for this to be changed. So your consciousness affects matter and changes the outcome. And so observing your thoughts, observing your emotions, your behaviors changes the outcome of the situation. And this is one of the ways that, if you actively observe something, you can bring it into life. And that's why I said in the beginning, I was focused on these negative things. I was focused on pulling this out of reality. And it was again and again, this negative thing, because that's where my focus was. So if you change what you're focused on, you can change the outcome of the situation. And this is one of two experiments that proves that manifesting is real. Again, this is the most important part, it's the double slit experiment. Your consciousness affects matter. That's all you need to know. If you're curious, you can look up the double slit experiment. And again, you can fall in a rabbit hole of reading nothing but articles about that for the rest of your life, if you're curious about that. So on to the next phenomenon. And Einstein has famously described quantum entanglement as spooky action at a distance. So what is quantum entanglement? It is two particles that are connected, that are affected across time and space, no matter the distance between them. So what they did in this experiment is they entangled these two particles. And I don't know, I'll be real, it gets too deep into the quantum physics. I don't know how you entangle particles, but I will, the physical act of what they did to entangle the particles. But when two things are connected, they are connected to each other across time and space. And like, we've heard things about this, like twins, they could be on opposite sides of the world. One of them has a heart attack. The other one grips their chest at that moment and says, something happened to my twin or whatever. Like, ooh, just got goosebumps and chills from that. But yeah, so there's all sorts of times where this has been proven in the real world. But basically, entangled particles are just two things that are connected. And what they did with this entangled particles in this experiment, 80 something years ago, is they entangled these particles, and they took them in different rooms. They did something to one, and instantaneously the other was affected. They touched A, they wiggled A, and B wiggled instantaneously. There was not even a fraction of a microsecond difference. It is instantaneous that these particles, like whatever you did to one, you did to the other. So then they started taking them at greater distances, and they literally took these all the way to like opposite poles of the world, and then had, crazy accurate clocks. And instantaneously, when you affect one particle, you affect the other particle. And so that is to say, and that's fascinating, because we don't know anything on Earth. There's no physics that we understand that moves faster than the speed of light, which is, very fast, but not instantaneous. And the distance, it would take milliseconds, and at the speed of light, it would take milliseconds for that to go. So this is some spooky action that we can't explain. There's no rule. We don't know how it works. And it instantaneously affects one other thing. So why does this have anything to do with manifesting? You and whatever you want to create, your desired outcome, are two entangled particles. And you're entangled with your dream, because if you have the dream has you. Like, if you want to create something, if you're like, I want to be a rock star, that being a rock star has you as much as you have it. So you are entangled with this dream. And so as soon as you start doing things that change your energetic field. You start working on your thoughts. You start working on your emotions. You become more receptive to your dream. You take one step towards your dream, and your dream takes 1,000 steps towards you. And I am a living example of that. And we'll talk about that in a minute. So energy attracts energy. And we know this because you are probably very similar. The people that you like, the people that you're friends, the people you choose to spend your time with, you're probably pretty similar to them. Energies naturally align with similar energies. And so like attracts like, and going through. So your energetic field is what's doing the attracting. So like when we like people, it's like I am outgoing. I have a big personality. I like to talk a lot, things like that. Those like the thoughts and emotions I have, my attitude projects into my field, and then like attracts like. I attract people that are higher energy. I attract people that are positive and things like that. But it's my energetic field, my superconscious is what's doing the attracting. And again, your energy field is dictated by your beliefs, your emotions, your attitudes, your thoughts, all of that. So it's really your subconscious that is pulling people into your life. And if like attracts like, oh, and you know this because a good day versus a bad day. Like, let's say you wake up and you're like, woke up on the wrong side of the bed. And anytime you're in an energy or a mood, doesn't it seem to happen that Murphy's law, again, Murphy doesn't exist. It doesn't seem to happen again and again that things that reinforce that mood are happening, because what's happening is you're like, I'm having a bad day, and your subconscious says bad day, and the superconscious just is agreeable. It has no judgment of like what's good or bad or right or wrong. And so it just says, okay, bad day. You want to have a bad day? I'll pull in all these things to give you a bad day. Traffic and blah, 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 blah. And the same is true when you have a good day. When you have a good day and you feel good, you are able to step out, and all these good things are attracted to you that reinforce your energy. And if like attracts like, love attracts love. And so this is actually the map of consciousness. The book is called Power versus Force by Dr. David Hawkins. It's an incredible book. I don't have time to get into how they actually created, but this is the map, the frequency of emotions. He created this, and it's been fact checked and proven by many, many different sources. And so these are the emotions, the frequency of the emotions. So the higher the higher the energy, the higher the emotion. And each emotion has a specific energy. And so higher level energy, being in a place of joy and love, attracts joy and love, and being in a place of grief and apathy attracts more things that are grief and apathy. So anytime you're in this emotional state, you're going to attract more things that reinforce this energetic state. And what's very curious, and I want to point this out because this is the number one thing to know about this, is gratitude as a beingness is the highest energy level that has ever been measured of any energy. And it's like 960. It's at the upper level. It's deeply into enlightenment. And we're not talking about like, oh, gratitude, like, oh, thank you for the thing. We're talking about like people that practice gratitude as a being. Like, I woke up today. Like, we're talking about the monks that devote themselves to that. It's the book I'm referencing is called Power versus Force by Dr. David Hawkins. It's actually written at the top of the image, so you can write it down. So gratitude as a beingness state, like living in this state of gratitude, is the highest level emotion you can experience. So anytime you find yourself on these lower level emotions and you're wanting to pull yourself up, all you need to do is focus on gratitude, and gratitude will help pull you up this energetic, emotional, I think of this as a ladder. So gratitude is and we've known this for a long time, gratitude journaling and all that, scientifically shown to boost your mood. But here's how: if gratitude is up here and you're practicing gratitude, even for 5 minutes a day, it's just a numbers game. You average the frequency, like let's say you spend most of your day in anger, most of the minutes of your day in anger, but then you spend 5 minutes in the morning and 5 minutes at night in gratitude. Well, if you average that number over time, you're actually pulling yourself up this. And then the higher you get in these emotions, the easier it is to go. Like, it's really easy to jump from 350 to 600. It's basically the lower level emotion. You have to get through all of these. So the lower you are, it can take a while to pull up, but these start going exponentially. So the number one myth about manifesting is popular media, like movies and books like The Secret, which there's nothing wrong with them, but it is frustrating that when you listen to the woman speak, she's highly educated. She just kind of left out the most important part. I don't know why, but popular media wants you to think that if you think positive thoughts, then positive things will come in your life. Like all you need to do is make a vision board and then like sit and meditate and never do anything. And then like suddenly those things will come to you. That's not how manifesting works. What you need to do, but that's what the movie The Secret teaches you, is you don't need to do anything, just dream and then it'll come to you. There is step 2 is take action. You have to take action towards what you want to create. And so like if you're like, I want to, buy a house in the mountains. I can't just sit in my living room for the rest of my life and be like, I really hope the house in the mountains shows up. I need to take action. I need to maybe, there's a lot of action you can take. But I need to take action in this 3D world to make it happen. And again, when you take action, when you take one step towards your dream, one action towards your dream takes 1,000 steps towards you. And let me tell you, my real life example about this is my clinic. So I had a dream of opening a wellness center for 5 years, something like that. And it was a long time. And I was manifesting in my dream. I was visualizing, but I was never taking action in the 3D world. And I had a coach that dared me to get into some action. And by mind you, it was May 2020. And they're like, why don't you open a wellness center? I was like, the world's shut down, right? You know that none of these practitioners can even be in clinics. And she was like, that's a great excuse. I want you to come back and give me a way that you're going to bring this, an action you're going to take to bring this in the 3D world. I'll see you in 2 weeks. And so I meditated and reflected on it. I was like, I could manage somebody else's clinic. I could go into somebody who already has a wellness center and time trade in exchange for them mentoring me and teaching me how to run a wellness center. I can do the project management and all the PPE requirements of them opening their clinic, taking something off their plate, and then in exchange for future mentorship. So anyways, that was my action step I was going to take. I did 2 things. I wrote down a list of what I wanted, and I wanted the clinic to be within 15 minutes of my house. I wanted it to be 3 to 5 hours a week, and somebody who really wanted to mentor me, not just teach me how to do stuff or, not the bare minimum. Like they wanted to teach me how to fish. And I had some other things, but I don't even remember what they are. And then the action step, so that I got clear on what I wanted. And then the action step I took is write a resume. I don't know. I had no idea what I was going to do. So the best action I could think to take at the time was to write a resume. And then I was like, I don't know. Step 2 is take it to local clinics and like give them a receipt, whatever. I don't know. Didn't really, it's like, I guess share the resume with people. But how else was I going to get a job? I don't know. And so I started writing this resume. 2 days after I started writing the resume, maybe 3, I found myself in a dot connect, a 1-to-1. And I asked the woman, well, how can I support you? And she said, well, do you know anybody who wants to manage a clinic? I'm moving to Arizona and I'm whatever. I need somebody to manage my clinic. I was like, tell me more. She's like, it's 14 minutes from your house. It's 3 to 5 hours a week. And I would love to, train this person to eventually take over the clinic. Wow. I literally took 1 step. I wrote a resume, halfway wrote a resume, never finished it. And literally exactly what I wanted was handed to me on a silver platter. But here's what I want the most important part of the story. It wasn't the right action. I find that we all get hung up on what is the right action to take. And I love you said aligned action. Here's the deal writing a resume was the best thing I could think of at the time, but nobody ever saw that resume. It was just the act. At the moment, I made the choice from my choices of what I could think of. It seemed like the right action at the time, but it's not that this woman never even asked to see my resume because I'd known her for years. And so you don't have to get hung up on is this the one action I will take that will get me to my dream? Because any action that seems like a good idea at the time, like seems like out of all of your options is the most aligned action, will get you there. So don't get hung up. Doesn't have to be the right, most efficient action. It just needs to be an action in the 3D world. So now that we talked about the myths about manifesting, let's get into the 4 major challenges around manifesting and how to address each and every one of them. So we get really attached to the outcome. And it's either the outcome or the specific path we get really, really, really attached to. And I recently manifested this amazing trip to Greece, and I could spend an entire hour talking about how manifestation played into that trip in a million different ways. but I got really clear. I've been wanting to do this for 14 years. And I got really clear. I wanted to go. We were planning on going January, or we've been planning to go in September 2020 since January 2020. And obviously that's not a thing. And then it took us a while to get back on the horse. But I was so clear I was going this year. It was now or never. And one of the biggest things that was stopping me from manifesting more money is, I would say, this was my affirmation statement. I want to make more money in my business, was the number one thing blocking me from making money in my business. You know why? Well, what I wanted was to go on this Greece trip. That's what I really wanted. It's not the money. I wanted the freedom to do that. And so when I dropped in my business and just said, I want to make more money, I'm going to Greece. I want to make money to go to Greece. I don't care if it's in my business. I don't care if it's out of my business. I just want to make more money for the purposes, because my real desire, which we'll get into next, was Greece. Money started flowing to me like crazy as soon as I let go of the specific pathway of it coming through my business. And people kept giving me $300 for absolutely no reason. And then I would go on a walk and find $100 in the park. And somebody literally paid me a $300 retainer fee to maybe speak for their organization in 2026. I was like, great, I'll honor that. I think, and she was like, but I want to give you $300 today. I was okay, sure. But I know that I was manifesting because it just kept being $300 again and again that would find me. And what I did is I just started saying, I want more abundance. I want more abundance because I'm going to Greece and I want to pay cash for this trip. So when we're attached to the specific outcome or the path, it's like in a restaurant, it's like ordering with the wait staff. But we're so attached to the outcome or the path that we then follow the wait staff in the kitchen, and we're telling this cook how to do how to, oh, you need to make my omelet. Don't forget the tomatoes. Don't forget the mushrooms or whatever. When we're so attached to the outcome or the specific channel, the pathway that outcome is going to happen, we block off the universe's magic to hand it. To go back to my clinic, I was so attached to the idea that somebody was going to train me and then I was going to have to start from scratch. But once I actually got into action, somebody handed me exactly what I wanted, way better than I could have ever imagined, handed it to me on a silver platter, because I was like, I don't care how this happens. I just know I'm going to do it. So, I gave the example of ordering in a restaurant. You want to be clear and specific, but not so overly controlling or attached to the specific path or outcome that you're going into the kitchen and telling the cook how to make an omelet. So the best thing we can do, and they talk about this in the movie The Secret, is like, place your order to the universe and then let go of the outcome, and just say things like, if it's meant to happen for me, it'll happen for me. The one thing I want to share is you can never affect timing around manifestation. So we get to practice being patient when we're practicing manifesting, because there are some things. I was talking to somebody, came to this webinar a while ago, and she was like, it took me 40 years. I was like, well, you were doing it the hard way. So it should never take you 40 years, but timing always happens in a way that's divine for us. Like, there are things I know for a fact, that trip I've been trying to manifest to Greece for 14 years. I did not have the emotional capacity. It would not have gone well if I went 14 years ago. And now I am in a place where I was ready to do it. And so it was a lot easier to create. So we need to let go of the outcome. And by every time I'm dreaming things into being and visualizing, I always say this or something even better still, because it gives the opportunity for something better than my wildest freaking dreams to fall into my lap. Like, think about the story about the shower door being at the hotel. And it's like, my outcome is I just want to spend a night in this city and enjoy it. Something even better still is getting upgraded to like one of the most beautiful hotels with the most beautiful view and a private pool. Like, that's crazy. That's way better than I could have ever imagined, because I wasn't attached to the outcome. So this is the number one pothole that people fall into. It's not a real desire. So it needs to be a real desire. And it's a real desire because you want it, because you want it. There's no other reason. There's no secondary intention. It's not getting this will help me, whatever. It is, I want it because I want it. I wanted to go to Greece because I wanted to experience traveling in Greece. I wanted the experience of living on a sailboat. Why did I want it? I want it because I want it. There's nothing behind. It's not because I think people will think I'm cool or whatever. And in this way, there's no secondary intentions. If there is a reason you want it, it's not real. And it's not a real desire. And so if there's anything, if like I wanted, I want to make more money in my business, and here's where I was blocking myself, and it took me a long time to see. I wanted to make more money. I want to make more money in my business because then I'll feel successful and I will have proved my naysayers wrong. And then and so I was attached to the money. The more money in my business was going to make me and that's a secondary intention. And in this way, money is a vehicle. Money is not a real desire. We don't want the money. We want whatever money is going to get us. So whatever it is you want to get with money, it's like, for me, I wanted money to go to Greece. Like, I want money to travel. I want money to XYZ. So it's money isn't what you can never manifest more money. You can manifest the opportunity to create what you want. And there's an egoic desire versus a higher self desire. And it gets really tricky. And that's why I have a trained ear for this stuff. So this is where we get hung up on things, is shit your ego says is, I'm a victim of my circumstance. I live in scarcity. There's never enough. And this was my ego was telling me, I want to make more money in my business because that'll mean I'm successful, and that will prove to myself and others. And that's my ego talking. When I clarified that was my ego the money was going to prove something and get me somewhere or whatever. When I figured out how to work with that, I could tune into my higher self. Shit your higher self says is, I create my own reality. I live in abundance. There's always more than enough. And what my higher self says is, and this is the difference in the manifestation. I teach people how to create manifestation statements. That's one of the things I do. And I want to make more money in my business is an egoic. It's never going to be able to manifest. And my actual manifestation statement is, I want an abundantly successful coaching practice. And for me, abundantly successful is I'm helping people. I'm at my capacity or at a wait list. And that's why do I want an abundantly successful coaching business? Because I want to coach a lot of people. Like, why do I want it? Because I like the experience of doing it. It's not because it's going to prove something or whatever. It's my higher self is speaking, because I want it, because I want it. So in that way, hopefully, and this is where it gets controversial, you can never manifest more money. You can only manifest what money's going to get you. With the asterisk or caveat, you can never manifest, if money is going to get you freedom, safety, security, stability, comfort, independence, and gosh darn it, there's a seventh one. But if you think money's going to get you freedom, safety, stability, security, you'll never be able to manifest money, because people who are free don't want freedom. People who feel safe don't want safety. And so in that way, you're trying to plant a forest of abundance from seeds of scarcity. And that's, I would say, 90% of the people that are wanting to manifest more money, it is because they want more freedom, or because they want more stability or safety or whatever. And so I work with people to help them get out of that energy, because you can any person can manifest more money. We just need to change your mindset, how you orient towards it, what it means to you, what it's going to get you. And that's what I do with my clients. So don't get too hung up on that. You can work your way out of it. It's not a problem. And why can't you manifest more money? Because it's a problem-solving mindset. Most of when we want something, and you think about it, most of what you want, you don't actually want the thing. You want to get away from the opposite of it. You want money because you're sick of feeling broke. You want love because you're sick of being lonely. It's oftentimes you want health because you don't want to be sick. So oftentimes the reason why we don't have a real desire is it's not something, a pure desire we want to move towards. We want something because we want it. It's we want this because we don't want that. And so, we come from a problem-solving culture. The United States was founded on problem solving. What's the problem? Overtaxation. How are we going to fix it? Put T in a bay and revolt and whatever. So more than any other country, we are a very problem-solving heavy country, but it's not that we want the things, we want the opposite of whatever we're experiencing right now. But then you're stuck in a tension relationship with that thing. You can never move away, because you're in a relation. When you feel broke, you're in a relationship with being broke. You can't be abundant because you're basically, your hands are tied, and you're energetically tied to being broke. And so that's why we get to shift the mindset and how you orient towards things, so that if you're sick of being broke, you can still manifest more money. You just need to change how you look at it, your energy around it, all of that. So again, the number one reason why we're not able to manifest is we're focused on fixing a problem. And think about it. What do you want to manifest? Do you want to manifest something because you're trying to fix something you're currently experiencing that you don't like? That's where I was for a really long time. So that's where a lot of us find. And it sounds like when I fix this, then I can have whatever. When I make more money in my business, then I can be successful. When I lose the weight, then I can take the boudoir pictures. When my kids graduate, then I can travel. That is a problem-solving mindset. You can never, ever, ever manifest from a problem-solving mindset, because you're not actually going towards something. You're trying to move away from something. So how do you manifest? You get into a conscious creation mindset. And here's the steps of how you do it. You get clear on what you want and why you want it. And that's just how to get to the real desire point. So you make sure you have a real desire. Why do you want that? If there's any reason other than because I want it, then you have a secondary intention. We need to dig a little bit deeper. But you get clear on why. You visualize it every day and be in the energy and the emotion of whatever you desire. You visualize it for 2 minutes a day. That's as little as it takes, 2 minutes a day. I love it. I was talking about manifesting a new car. Yeah. Getting clear on why you want it and the visualization of it. And so you visualize, in that example, you'd visualize driving the car, walking up and, seeing it in your driveway or whatever that is. So, but in visualization, you don't need to be able to visualize something in your mind to be successful at visualization. If you struggle with visualization, I would love to help you in that, because I help people that can't visualize learn how to visualize in a way that works for them. But it's more about being in the energy and the emotion of whatever you want to experience. And then you focus on taking baby steps towards what you want. Like in an example of manifesting a new car, like certain baby steps are, figuring out what kind of car you want, shopping insurances, putting out offers and opportunities to make more money. Like these are baby steps you can work towards getting this new car, in addition to visualizing it. And then you focus on taking baby steps regardless of the external circumstances. You keep your eye on the goal. And this is the number one way that we sabotage our manifestation process, is something happens in our life and we take our attention off whatever we're creating, our vision, our goals, and then we go fix that thing. And it is crazy how this shows up in our life. But I want to tell you a story of this amazing woman I worked with. In 3 years, she had 7 crazy, and every single one of them was completely outside of her control. But she was a stay-at-home mom. She wanted to be a part-time business owner. And basically she was certified. She wanted to create a business and launch a program and things like that. And every time she went to launch a program, within 7 to 10 days, it was a 3-day window, within 7 to 10 days, a freak accident or family emergency came up in a 3-day time span, again and again over years. The first accident was her son broke both of his arms. The second one was they got COVID. The family got really sick, and then and then pneumonia or whatever, and they were all out for 6 weeks. The third one was her sister got in a car accident and was hurt and didn't have a car. So suddenly she's driving her sister around. They had a lawsuit because she was a bonus mom. They had all custody suit. All of these things kept coming up. And every time the custody suit came up, she said, I'm going to put my business to the side completely, and I'm going to focus on this custody suit. And then when that's done, I'll come back to it. And then when that's done, then it was the broken arms or whatever. Where she went wrong and where she got in this trap is because she stopped focusing on her goal. She could have driven her sister and still made 1 social media post a day, or made 1 connection, or she could have helped her son with 2 broken arms and still had 1 client. So you want to keep taking baby steps in the world towards your goal, regardless of what's happening. And it could be little baby steps. And then there's sometimes when you're not able to do it, but then you just visualize even more. But you never, conscious creation mindset, a real manifestation mindset, you never stop working towards what you want to create, no matter what. Reason number 3 that we aren't manifesting machines yet is we don't yet have the identity of the person, of the version of us that has what we want. And so let me tell you a story about a man with a boat. And this is a real life story, and I just love it. It's from my mentor. And he was working with this guy for between 5 and 10 years. This man was trying to save up money. He wanted a speedboat, a $250,000 speedboat, because he lived on this lake and whatever. And he was an entrepreneur. And for 5 to 10 years, every time he would save a bunch of money, his car would break down or something would happen. Every time he got close to being able to have a deposit or get a loan or whatever for the boat, whatever he's going to do, it would all get ripped away. And that's why he came to my mentor and started working with him. And my mentor listened to this whole story and said, great, I want you to today go buy a kayak. And the guy's like, no, I'm not going to spend money on a kayak. Like I'm, the $300 on that kayak I'm saving it for the boat. And my mentor said, shut up and buy a kayak. And so this guy went and bought a kayak and he's like, no, great. Just go spend time on the lake. Just go explore the lake on this kayak. And this guy spent, almost every day he went out and was just palling around on the kayak on the lake. Suddenly things in his business started moving and he upgraded from a kayak to, and I don't know the boat levels or even the exact cost, but here's the principle. He went from a $300 boat and now he could afford a $1,000 little motorboat, like a little dinghy. And then he could afford a $5,000 boat and then a $10,000 boat, then a $100,000 boat, then a $25,000 or $250,000 boat. He got there in 18 months after having worked for 5 to 10 years with no luck. And all he had to do was buy a kayak. So what does it have to do with identity? When he bought the kayak, he became a person who owns a boat who's on that lake. And that's what he needed. He needed to have the identity of the version of him who has it. And once he had the identity, then things started to really flow. So focus on whatever it is you want to create and manifest. Focus on where you already have it right now. Like if you're feeling lonely, you can focus on where do you have love in your life? And it could be the love of a pet. Like it doesn't need to be a romantic love. If you're sick, focus on where you have health. And if you feel like you're in a place of scarcity, where is the abundance? How can you focus on the abundance in your life? So that's reason number 3. And we're coming up to an hour. If anybody needs to jump, you're welcome to. We're almost done. I got a little chatty. We started a few minutes late. So just a few more minutes to go. So reason number 4, why we're not manifesting machines is we're out of alignment. And you have to have alignment. I talked about this earlier. You need to have alignment between your consciousness, your thoughts and your desires, and your subconscious beliefs and emotions. But the problem is most of us walk around in this world completely out of alignment. We want abundance, but we believe in scarcity because we've spent our entire lives living paycheck to paycheck. We want that great job, but we don't believe that we deserve, or we want XYZ, but we don't believe we deserve it. So in that way, we're living out of alignment. So what we need to do to become manifesting machines is, and it's really our subconscious, because, your conscious desire, you want what you want. We just need to get your subconscious in alignment. And then there's that fishing pole thing I was talking about earlier. If you've ever seen the fishing poles that for travel, they break in half. If you're trying to fish on a fishing pole like this, you're not going to get very far. But when you can get your subconscious into alignment with your conscious desires, that's when you can cast out and reel in whatever your dreams are. But here's the problem. Traumas, limiting beliefs, all these negative experiences, all the hardships that we've ever experienced in our lives are preventing us from manifesting because they are attached to negative beliefs and emotions that are out of alignment of our desires. So it's really traumas and limiting beliefs that are preventing us from manifesting. That's why I have a job. That's why I love helping people do this, because once you can clear these out of the system, it is amazing what you can manifest. I've got some really cool examples about that. And this is what I want to say. And I talked about this. You're manifesting all the time. You already are. And you are currently manifesting in your life whatever you believe you deserve, unconsciously, subconsciously. You are already manifesting that in your life. And that's what when I was talking about when I was young, I was manifesting all the negative things. I believed I deserved those negative things. And so I had to work on my belief and my self-worth and my deserving and all of those things. I had to shift those limiting beliefs to be able to step so they could be more in alignment to what I consciously desire and stepping into what I want. So this is the slide you've been waiting for this whole time. How do you start manifesting? Here's your steps. Number 1, get clear on your real desire. What do you want because you want it for no other reason than I want it because I want it. You visualize it daily, especially focusing on the emotions and the senses. Like really, like the reason why movies are so powerful is our subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between a movie, reality, and our imagination. Our subconscious mind has no differentiation between those. And that's real because if you've ever watched a scary movie and they go, boom, you jump because your subconscious thinks it's happening to you right now. So we can use that principle to our advantage with visualization. Every time you're visualizing what you want and you can really get into the senses of it. Like when I was visualizing my trip to Greece, I could smell the salt water. I could hear the waves. I could feel the warmth of the sun. Like I was in all of the senses, and I was in the emotion of deep desire or deep gratitude and just like pure joy and contentment and presence in the moment, like nowhere to go and all day to get there kind of vibe. And so you visualize it daily. Oh, because your subconscious mind can't tell the difference. Step number 3 is you release the resistance. You release the trauma, the limiting beliefs, self-doubt, whatever that is. This is what I do with my clients. But once you release that resistance, all you need to do, and that's another way to say is releasing resistance, is getting your emotion and beliefs in alignment with your thoughts and desires. And then all you need to do is take action. That's it. Those are the 4 steps to becoming a manifesting machine. I'll pause here for a second so you can take a screenshot or jot those down really quick. Except, so if you're manifesting all the time, isn't it time to start manifesting your dreams and what you actually desire? So I would love to support you in becoming a manifesting machine. And so I actually have a 45-minute free manifesting machine coaching session. I only have 3 spots available because I just came back. My calendar's packed. So seriously, and here, I'll type it in the chat. Give me, that's not a link. You'll have to copy it. But follow that link ASAP. You can also scan the QR code. It takes you straight there. I only have limited spots available. So please, please, please do yourself the favor of signing up now. Because one thing I want to share with you, you're already manifesting all the time. You're already a manifesting machine, but how you become like a manifesting machine for your desire and what you actually want to create is you need to move from I don't have, I'm going to use abundance for this example. I don't have abundance to I have abundance is how you start manifesting a little bit. How you become a manifesting machine is you move from I have abundance to I am abundance itself. When Albert Einstein said it at the very beginning, when you are the frequency of what you want to create, it has no choice but to come to you. I became the frequency of abundance to fund that trip to Greece, and money had no choice but to come to me. And I found it in the most interesting of ways. We were happy to do a connect and tell you about the weirdest ways I made money and all these crazy things that happened. But I want to help you become into a place where you are whatever it is. I'm abundance itself, whatever that is for you. And so it would normally just one coaching session would normally be $197 as a thank you for attending. It's free for the people who sign up today. And I'm going to teach you the steps that you can do today. Like, how can you start manifesting? Like, what can you do today? And what does the roadmap look like in the future? And if it's in alignment for both of us, I can teach you how I could help you like walk that roadmap. Because as we are working on releasing traumas and limiting beliefs and all of that, things come up, and that's what I love to support people in. So there is the link again. Here's the same QR code. Please scan it, sign up ASAP before spots run out. I'm going to hold it on this page for just a second so you have my contact information. That's my cell phone number and my email address. And then I'm going to stop the share really quick and stop the recording. And I'm happy to sit here and answer questions. I've got some time. Escape, share, stop recording.